All right, it's time to take a relatively good working-ish Jeep and then turn it apart. I did add a cabin fire in it. This was the faulty component. This wire was hooked up to the parking brake, and then as you can see, all the protection on it was super brittle and got eroded after time, and then made contact, and it was grounding and heated up and was burning right through my carpet. So I had to pull it out, cut it, and now it's not grounding anymore, so it doesn't do that. But yeah, so the electrical part of this project was probably the weakest point. I had very limited knowledge into car electrical, so I started this to self-taught myself and as a hobby, which is pretty fun. But obviously, there's some weak points in this build. One was the whole hydraulic situation, which is fixed now. But then now I need to tackle the electrical because the way I have everything sorted out is I have like two harness. I have the Jeep harness and the TDI CGAA engine harness, and they're both running in parallel. And then both harness are kind of not super great neither. So the Jeep harness was already hacked up at some point, and then I just kind of used some ramification to use some ignition power, 12 volt power, and all that. And then as I would lose power in one cable, I would just track down another one that would give me what I need and connect to it, which worked out that I have more load on some component, electrical component wires that I shouldn't be powering from some of those cable, and that created a whole bunch of issues like grounding issues and so much and so forth. So I think I have a better understanding of how the electrical works on a car. So what I did is I bought like a universal kit, and I'm going to get rid of all the Jeep harness, and then I'm going to rewire the entire thing so it's safe and it's the way it should. So to that, I bought the light switch that's in the console that never worked properly and was burned out right at the bat when I bought the Jeep. The ignition switch, which is not working so well neither, and I bought the thermostat for the fan as well, so I'll try to make that work. I think I figured pretty much everything, like the theory behind everything, except I have a little bit of the gray area would be like the HVAC system, which I'm not sure like how I'm gonna hook that up yet. I'm gonna need to get into it. But first of all, I'm going to look what's in the box, and then I'm going to tackle the dash. I need to remove the entire dash to pull the harness. The way I had it set up is I had a bunch of terminal blocks like that, and I would run like power, let's say ignition power to one of those blocks. Like this, I would have a bunch of ignition lead for say. I did that for ground, I did that for constant 12 as well. And yeah, so I think I'm going to change the whole setup depending on what I get in the box, and then we'll tackle one thing at a time. This is my summer car, so I'm giving myself like 2 months to complete the project, which I'm working 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So that will give me like 4 weeks to do the entire thing. which of those 2 weeks, there's a bunch of days that obviously I'm going to do family stuff and other stuff, but my time frame is to be able to be done by June. Let's see. All right, let's get to it. Alright, this is the same principle as the painless wiring system. I bought this one which this is specifically made for Chrysler harness. It should be coming with everything to wire everything with the instructions. I'm going to use a combination of these instructions and the painless instructions that I found online as well. So it's quite extensive actually. Do a quick read and go through that. As well, have an electrical voltmeter that I'm gonna need to figure out. This is my light switch, my new light switch. I'm gonna need to figure out all those terminals, what they are controlling in the cabin. And I have my new engaging switch for the column. All right, right at the bat, you can tell that there's wire for light connections. The typical, like, I think it would work with the Jeep. I think it's standard for the Jeep. So yeah, some custom connector, fuse and breakers and whatnot. All the wires are identified. You have the fuse block here with the flasher. There's a flasher fuse, a flasher relay. It's got two of them. Two flasher relay. Yeah, probably not the best quality, but it's all sorted out for you at least, so you can probably mount that in the cabin, probably behind the dash somewhere where it's accessible, where the stock Jeep one is, which is basically the same size. Probably gonna make a bracket and replace it with it. What is great with those harness is that you get all the wire and plenty of wires, and all the wires are identified. So see, this is the alternator, exciter, and then they all, like, they have the name on it every 3 or 4 inches. So even if you cut it at some point, then you have the identifier just further down the road anyway. So all right, so first step will be to read the manual and then lay it out and see what we're working with. All right, a lot of issue that I had with this Jeep is that the previous owner kind of tapped power out of the harness that goes to the column. So that's the switch for the ignition key, and then there's a bunch of wires being cut, and then they're being like tapped in, and then there's one that's completely melted here, like this one is melted, fused with some others that have been like cutted. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna pull this out and I'm gonna disconnect the switch. I bought a new switch. I'm gonna keep the connectors. I'm gonna rewire these. Gonna find like the inserts that goes in the connectors, and then I need to rewire this. The entire thing. This is the light switch. I had a problem with the light switch as well. I'm not sure if these were controlling the right terminal as well. So this is all disconnected now. I redid that because the actual connector for the light switch was all melted, because I'm pretty sure those wires were shorted somewhere. So this was my setup for the 12-volt accessory and gauges. So needless to say, like, I'm gonna rip all that off and simplify everything. There's a lot of wires. This is just a rat nest. So I have those terminal relays here, not relays, but terminal blocks that I put there that I'm just gonna clean up, disconnect everything. I removed the steering wheel, and then I'm gonna dismount the center console, removed all the wires connected to the HVAC radio, and then middle switch were front fan, headlights, and starter. So remove the whole dash and clean up everything to start new. Actually, to remove the dash on the Jeep is like 3 bolts on both sides, and there's 4 other bolts. Actually, I think they're just nuts. There's like bolts that are off the frame here, and there's nuts. You just remove the nuts, and you need to lift the dash, pull it out. So I'm gonna do that. So there's a little recess for them. 1, 2, 3 over there, and then 4 at the end. All right, I'm gonna try to take out the dash. All right, there's the vents as well. They are screwed in. So there's 2 more screws to remove the vents. I'll show you when they're off. There's like a screw that goes in there. I just remove that one. So this is out. This is out. Alright, so the dash is removed. I'm working through the harness, and I have pretty much like everything unplugged. There's a bunch of stuff. Everything's identified because I hooked up the TDI harness to it previously. So I have my OBD port here, and then all this, all the harness is running off parking brake light, ignition, and constant 12, which I can't find the hand right now. Oh, it's over there. So that's the bulk of the TDI harness that I'm gonna keep inside. A bunch of this is all like switch wire that I have going in the front for all the custom stuff, like fuel pump, fan, lights, and all, and so on. Most of the stuff that goes in the front from the Jeep, it's not connected. There's nothing running through that. So I kept it in the Jeep initially because I didn't really know what I was doing. Not pretending I know much more, but at least I have like some fundamentals now that I think I can tackle this a bit better than I did initially. Anyway, so all these wires goes nowhere. Those are going to the back, and the accessories for lights, brake switch, and all that. So this one I'm gonna cut the portion that goes in the front, so I can strip like everything that's under the hood. To have like a white blanket, like a canvas to work with, better than always like adding wires to what's existing. So the only thing that prevented me to remove this harness right now is I need to remove like the pin that's holding this duck. Remove that duck, and then I'm probably gonna cut the wiper wires right here. Should be pretty straightforward to hook up to the new harness, and I'm gonna remove all the wires and see what I get when all this is trimmed and removed. So I'm pretty much done on this side. I just kept the remaining wires here for the switches and ball them up like in one, and then all the TDI stuff is tucked up here, and then waiting for whatever I'm gonna do next with wiring. Found my problem. Obviously, I think it's a common problem on Jeep, but I think there was 2 issues with this. It was the heater blower that was pulling too much power, and then the light switch burned because I think he was running auxiliary lights from the light switch itself, and it wasn't relayed. So what I have to do now is maybe just clean up all the wires. I added this switch box here, which I may keep. This was not wired. I wired all up myself. It works. I got the fuel pump, fan running out of this, and the lights running out of this, which I really like. I got another one, and it's pre-wired, so I might use the other one and keep that for other accessories later down the road. But I got terminal blocks as well, better ones. So I want to clean up like all the wires in there, and then start back from scratch. So rewire the lights, horns that haven't worked in a while, and install this harness that I have laid out. So I have the universal harness for Chrysler, and found the problem in my. So I removed the wool Jeep harness, and I deloomed everything. So I have the door switches here. This one is that's the HVAC heater blower, and that's where we had the worst problem here. If I can find it, this guy was melted in the loom and all fused. See if you can see that one, but that was the gray and black, and it's still melted with like the green there. So what I'm gonna need to do is depin the switches here, or the connectors here, and then make a loom back or integrate it to this, whatever. It's gonna be the best. I'm not sure how that's gonna work yet. I'm gonna need to sit down and do a little bit of thinking, I think. Yeah, so I have these two together, actually. Here I got, that's the brake switch loom. This is the, I got the ignition run accessories. Yeah, this is my accessories and ignition connectors. I know that runs accessory fuse. No, that's not that. That's the turn signal. This is the turn signals. This is radios, I believe. Is it radios? No, this one is the wipers. So the connector for the wipers. This is the radio. The back of the radios. That's another radio one. That was the. Oh no, this one is the high beam, low beam. This is the light. The dimmer switch, that is called. So it's on the left of the control column. So that's your low and high beam. It plugs like right in the back here. After that, I have this is just a relay that had a brake switch. This was grounded with brake switch. I'm not sure what that relay was for, or I can't remember now, but I think I looked it up before, but I can't remember. That's the ignition. All right, and this connector is the one that's all burnt. See, this was the ground for the gray, for the gray and black wire. It's all burned up, and it was going through that into the ignition as well, and it burned, it actually melted the connector. So I ordered a connector for this too, so I'm waiting to get that, and that's how all this gonna work. Need to start with the ignition connector, and then build the harness from there. So you have like constant power, accessory power, run, and accessory run power, and then get this all like connected to the new fuse box, and then from there you connect all the items or accessories, I should say. This is a new light switch that I have. This is the old. Doesn't seem to be compromised too much. I think it held up, but just to be sure, I did order a new one, so I'm going to use the new one. I have it all connected now with the proper colors, so I can use this as guideline to redo the harness. What else did I got going on here? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I got a new ignition switch too, because like the one that's in the control column right now, obviously you've seen a little bit of heat, so I'm not sure if it's compromised or not. So just to be sure, I bought a new one. So we have something good to go with. But yeah, hopefully we'll get something that's a little less prone to fire from now on. This is the heater control. I was kind of impatient and I kind of messed up a little bit when I removed it. I kind of messed up a little bit, like the connecting wire here. Like I kind of destroyed that tab there, and I've yet to find a way to remove this part as well. So I think this is extremely expensive as a unit, I found out, so it's a little bit of a boo-boo. I see them on eBay for like $500, $400. But you can get just the cable for like $30. So I'm hoping to be able to remove this part without breaking that tab in there, so I can just replace the cable, and I should be good to go with that. All right, that's the fuse box that I removed that I'm not going to use as well. So yeah, I'm making room and a little bit of progress, slowly but surely. This is all the extra wire that I removed from the harness. This is the they call DCP, or the what is it? Power center, I think, or whatnot. I already 86 the fuse box that was in there, but I have a bunch of like extra wires that I'm not going to use. Or maybe I'll just salvage for other purposes later, but this is all that I'm not planning to use that was in the Jeep, and that may or may not be compromised at some point. And right now I just have the one wire connected to the steering column. That's the horn switch on the steering column. So that's where I'm at. So that's what I'm gonna use. I bought like a new fuse box, so that's gonna run the accessories like in the cabin. I got brand new ground wires. I'm gonna reground everything in the Jeep. This goes with the fuse box. I got like a new relay box that's gonna replace the one that I have right now. It's pretty much the same thing, but this one is pre-wired. So like this, all the connections that goes to that box or like as solid as possible, right? Instead of me doing them, because that's what I have right now. I made like a little harness, but I want something more like factory. And then cleaner, I guess. I don't want to have any problem with the grounds, false ground or whatnot. That's how I'm gonna power all the big items like winch, lights, and fan. I'm gonna run from there. I'm gonna have one cable going out of there to the accessories as well. So to the fuse box. Yeah, so I think I have 4 pins in there, right? I have 4 slots in there. Yeah, 4 big slots in there. So it's gonna be light, winch, fan, and then two this, and then from there I may get a 30 amp. I'm gonna get the 30 amp to go to the accessory fuse here, and this is gonna run on a 30 amp. All right, and with this one I have a whole bunch of fuse. I do have 30 amps as well and whatnot, but yeah, fan. I also need to run my amp, because my amp is gonna, anyway, so I'm going to do a little bit of thinking and drawing to make sure I got everything covered and hooked up the proper way. I might be able to run my amp on a 30 amp out of this. I think that's what I'm going to do to just make things cleaner so I don't have too much wire coming out of my big blocks. And my big blocks, I'm still going to use, I have a 100 amp like relay here. So that's what's gonna, I'm gonna keep this 100 amp relay right here, and that's what's gonna provide power to the big block. Getting rid of this one because this one's a little finicky and I don't like it. Like whenever I want to hide an item, I need to remove the screw and it's not really well designed, so I'm gonna get rid of that one. Might use it for something else, like probably like my CNC mill or something. And then I can get rid of that ECU as well, so it's going to make more room for the battery. Yeah, and clean up all the wires. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by stripping everything that I don't need, all those wires, and then do ground engine to the frame, cabin to the frame, and then frame to engine. Make sure this one, the front grille, is grounded as well, because everything's painted there too, and I have a bunch of accessories running from there. Make sure everything is grounded, and then start adding like the harness and like all the components going to run the power there. Got rid of the soft top so I can install my fastback soft top, I think it's called. And then but before that I'm just gonna do all the electrical. But today I'm still waiting for some parts, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna install all the grounds to have a good foundation for the harness. So I'm not sure if you can see, but I have a ground coming from the frame and going up through here, and that's going to the battery. And I have another cable going to the tub. So I'm going to install a ground from the tub to the engine, and I'm going to use, so this one broke off, but there's like an anchor point there. I'm going to use the same one to ground the engine, but I will be using a new ground. I'm probably going to pull that harness as well, that sorry, not that harness, but that bracket as well, and maybe get rid of the self-leveling headlight unit that's behind that I'm not using anymore. Okay, so I did order like the ignition connector for the ignition switch. Double check part number and found it like on a American obscure website. Not obscure, but I mean like just like an independent dealer or whatnot. And then ordered it, paid like a fair chunk of money for this, for what it is. But again, it's the wrong part. It is too big. It will not fit into the ignition key switch. The only thing is I do get the right pre-crimped connectors, and those connectors will fit in this socket there. So I think I really wanted to change it because part of it was overheated and like the plastic melted a bit, but I think it's still functional. So I'm just gonna go ahead and then get rid of the damaged wire and then rewire this so I have something to work with, and then go ahead and start rewiring the Jeep, because as I'm waiting only for that to start like rewiring, and then I want to get this project done. I'm on my time off now, so I'm gonna give myself like a week to finish this project. So I'm tired of waiting for parts. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it, commit to it, and do it. So I did order another mechanism for the key lock, or the key ignition spring mechanism, or whatever it's called. There was part of it was damage. It's a very common problem for the ignition switch. That little aluminum or cast iron insert there, shear. It's like this part here that shears, and when that shear, then it doesn't engage, and then you can't have the start action anymore, which explains why I didn't have start signal anymore. So I'm gonna switch it from the current one, and then gonna do that. Then I'm gonna rewire the ignition, and then start wiring. I already get the schematic out and print it out, and I'm gonna do like a drawing of how it's gonna look like, and then commit to that plan. All right. You want the key to be in run position, so that is off. That's run. Start, run. All right. So what you want to do, you want to remove the cylinder. So there, no, that's accessory. Right, this should be start. All right. Now there's a little recess there. That's where there's a spring like nestled in that little recess. So that assembly here, it's spring loaded. and that spring is there, and it goes into that recess there. Alright, so now I can just pull that assembly off and compare it to the other one. Gonna keep the hardware together. This goes like that, and we'll make sure everything is in the same position. They're not clocked exactly the same, so I'm gonna do that. I'll take it to the bench probably. Make sure it. Oh. I think that's how it goes. They're the same now. I think you can just drop it in now. Alright, like that. And spring. Alright, I have this connector here. That's the ignition connector. Ignition switch connector. So you just go in there, remove the insert like that, and then now you have access to all the connectors here, and you can just lift that one little engaging spring-loaded tab here and remove whichever connector we want to remove. Like for example, we're going to remove this one, ignition start, which is that one on the side here. Just come here. Well, I have the little like I'll take the proper tool. So you can use these depainting tools to unpin like the little connectors. Just slide it under the little plastic tab. Try not to break it, and then you just pull on it, and here you go. You get the connector out. So this one is the ignition start. So we're gonna put a new one in, and we're gonna identify it, and then move along here. Probably gonna just do it this one for now because I haven't identified all the wires, and before I rewire all the connector, then I want to make sure that that I know where those specific wires are going. So I'm gonna make my plan before I dewire this connector actually. Alright, so that's what I got here. Printed out the plans for the pinouts. Well, they're not the plans, but those are the pinout sheets out of the Jeep TJ service manual. So I got the ignition switch out here, which lays out like all the wires with their function. So the one that's interesting here is the fuse B+, which is the power to the ignition, and it says A2 12 gauge pink and black. So we're going to try to mimic that and make sure it's in the proper pin. So 1, 2, 3. So it'll be the third big one, like starting from the top row here. What it looks like is when you look at it like that with the tab on the top. So it's 1, 2, 3, which is this big wire right here. This one. If I can put it on top of my thumb, then it'll be a better. All right. So that one on top of my thumb is the power to the ignition switch, which is pink and black. So which appears to be red, identify as pink. And then there's a black line on it. So if we go here on the pinout, this is the fuse circuit. That's the fuse box, probably goes in the... No, this one is power distribution. All right, and gives power to like a bunch of component on the Jeep. That's what I understand. As far as I understand, that's how it works. So fuse number 2, it says A2. If we go there, with fuse B plus, it says A2, 12 gauge pink black, and you go there, A2 pink black. They had 2 departing the fuse circuit, like on the power distribution, and those are rated for 40 amps. So as far as I'm concerned, the switch need to see 12 volt fused 40 amps out of a 12 gauge wire. So going forward, that's how I'm gonna plan the wiring, and then I'm just gonna go step by step and make sure I have the right wires on the ignition switch, and then methodically trying to connect the wires to the proper items. Here gives like a plan of how the power should run. And if you see like the A2 comes from the power distribution center, which we'll already established, but that wire also provide power to the engine starter motor relay. All right, so and that would be the constant power going. So those are diodes, I'm pretty sure, and those are going to the engine starter. This is probably, I'm assuming it's not the power that actually activate the engine starter, but it activates the starter relay. So that's the power for the switch for the relay. That's how I understand it. And I think it's probably going to be it's 30 amp though, but probably be better just to be on the safe side and get like everything that's wired toward like accessories, because this is going to be going to accessories and all that. See like low amperage and keep it separate from high drawing power accessories like the engine starter, for example. So all right, so the damaged wire that was coming out of that connector is this one, and then I'm going to show you the extent of the damage. This was running into the ignition. All right, and it was all melted and fused with like wires that was actually neighboring that wire in the harness. The type of connector is this, and I couldn't find it anywhere in the harness until I looked at the connectors that goes into the there's the harness that goes into the wipers and the heating element on the hard top wiring harness. So this one is the small one going, I think it's number 2, gray and black. Yeah, number 2, gray and black, red brake warning lamp driver. So that was the wire they were using for whatever accessories they were running. But yeah, so I couldn't find it. Then I went there. This is the harness for the that goes down in the back for the lights and stuff, and I have found the pin. So on this Jeep, the connector was already pinned out. So the connectors probably use similar terminals as the ignition. So I have like a little bit, that wire seems like in pretty good shape, so I'm just going to cut it. So I'm going to be able to install it in the ignition switch connector, and then like this, I'll be ready to go. Just gonna clean up that switch connector here. All the wires are pretty good. I found like there's two types. There's like the small ones, like the one I just showed. Like the one I removed is this one, so I'm gonna plug the one I found in there. And then the big ones, the connectors are pretty good, except I have like short ones, like the yellow one could use like a longer wire, so I can splice it with good wire. And then so I'm gonna go around and check all the wires. I only have one of the small ones. I'm gonna need to use like the two other yeah, the yellow one. I need to find another one for the yellow one. Yeah, because the big ones I have plenty around. I only found one small connector, so I think I might have a few more in there that I can salvage, and then if I can get a thick one that's not too damaged, I'll replace the yellow one with one of those as well. So they had shrink tube over, so I just need to remove the shrink tube and fit them in. So I'm gonna clean up the ignition switch, and I'll be, and then after we'll move to the next step. Okay, so I did rewire the switch connector as best as I could. So I found, actually I found the right color for the constant 12 volt. It's that big wire there. This one was tempered with. I did change the brake switch light, and this one, which is the ignition start. That was the yellow one. It was a little short, so I was able to find another one. All salvage from the hardtop wire, or the harness that goes into the back. This one I did found on the distribution box. There was the right type of pin. That I was able to fit it in there. So the constant 12, the old one looked like that. Same color, but it had been tampered with. Someone soldered a wire to get the constant 12 out of it, and then obviously that's not the right way to do it. So so this is going to be into the garbage, and then like this, the ignition sorted out, and now I can just wire. All right, battery died, but that's what it looks like. All right, I put a ground from the cabin to the frame in the back. It's hooked up to the rear bumper. So we have ground to the cabin in the back, ground to the cabin in the front. We have ground to the hood, and we have ground to the engine. I put a 12 volt bus and negative bus, and I installed a new relay box with some fuse in there. It's all wired and clean, so I can just like wire them for accessories. And I'm still gonna run this junction here. That's for the starter. And then that's my 12-volt cable here that goes from, this is main power to starter, and this one I'm just using to engage the starter, and then power from there gonna go to the 100 watts junction. This junction is also wired to the alternator. This is the alternator. It's going to be 12 volt going from the battery to the junction box as well. So I'm going to need to install it on this terminal as well. So alternator and battery coming in, and 100 amps going to the junction box, and I'm gonna put a wire there as well that goes to the 12 volt positive. So everything is going to be accessories. It's going to be protected by the 100 amps, and then power from the battery and the alternator going to go at the input for that 12 volt breaker. Alright, here I have the power and ground for my H-beam, for my high beam here. There's spot lights, they're very powerful, so I'm going to put them on those terminals. So these are going to be the first accessories that I put on there. So these two go into the breaker that's installed here. This was a harness that came with the lights, so I'm just going to keep that. I have one switch wire that goes into the cabin, and then those two wires are going to the beam in the front. So this is the bracket for the power distribution center. I'm going to cut this part and then this part here to use this as a bracket to hold the fuse box, the universal fuse box, and it's gonna be relocated exactly where the power distribution center is on the Jeep. So that's the universal fuse box that I have mounted here. I built the bracket using the bracket from the power distribution center, and I started routing the wire harness. So from my understanding, for what I can read from the labels, this one is for the gauge cluster. These are numerous switches for accessories. This is the power that those switches would activate, I believe. This is the half of it is light control for the light switch, and this is, I believe, the ignition key harness. I have a bunch of wires going in the front here, and I have another bunch of wires here going to the back of the vehicle that I threaded into the frame, the inside, not the frame, but the inside of the cabin here, and then the front part of the harness comes through that hole there, and then it's gonna go to the front. So I'm gonna slowly pause all that out and then see what I can figure out. I think I'm gonna connect power to it, so it's gonna help me troubleshoot everything. This is the ignition switch. I have all the cables identified. This one is a power 40 amp. I have a power 30 amp here. I have a ground, and the rest is all the type of powers for accessories, run, start, and start. So I have installed the steering wheel, obviously, and then I'm just gonna plug the ignition plug in there. I'm gonna start wiring the ignition switch, and I'm gonna build the harness from there. Oh, all right, it's in. The lock is in. And I'm gonna start with the ground. So ground is this one right here that I've identified as ground. And there is I could potentially ground it here, but I have another one here, like another bolt on the other side. I'm just gonna put like a little I-shaped connector and then set it up on the other side. To check if I have a good ground, I'm gonna check for continuity from where I want to ground the ignition. Do have good continuity here, and obviously the harness is not hooked up, so all right, couple of different things here. So my ground is hooked up now. So I divided the harness a bit, so makes it easier to work out. So these are going to be all, those are going to be different powers. And this is the feed, the fuse power, like I have a 30-40 amps here. The blue wire here, don't quote my colors because I did swap a few of the cables going to the ignition, but they are identified. I have the ignition switch pin out here, and that's what I use to identify like which pin goes where. Important one here is for me the blue one here, which is start run. So this this will provide 12 volt in run and start position. So this will need to feed but not necessarily feed in power, but at least switch on my ignition and my fuel pump. So when I start, I do have power to the TDI ECU computer, to the TDI ECU and to the fuel pump. So when I start, the truck actually starts. This one is gonna be the starter. No, this one is ignition run. So this is gonna go and will probably activate my relay box in the front. And I have those 3 wires here I'm gonna keep inside. I think, oh no, I have one that goes outside. So this one is my ignition start out. So this one will trigger my starter. This one is warning lamp driver. I think this hooks up to the light switch and dimmer switch, commonly called. And this was the ignition run accessory. So this one turns off when you do activate the start, and this one I'm going to hook up to a fuse terminal. I'm going to run in the cabin. That looks like that, and all the accessories in the cabin will be run with this board. I'm gonna try to document this like as best as possible to so we can keep track of what's going on with the harness. So nothing is plugged on this harness except for the solenoid power number 52 on this universal harness. Source of power now is the battery. It's plugged straight to the battery, and I have the ground plugged on the inside there. Harness wise, I think that's the only ground I have hooked up for the harness. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Though this wire is going to be ran from the right off the relay here, so we'll get alternator power and battery power off of this this terminal here. All right, so, and I was testing the power at the ignition. All right, so I figured it out. So I connected the this one is the 40 amp. In theory, this was the 30 amp. 12 volt, and then if I check it, I'm sure you can see it, but now if I looked at this, this is the accessory 12 volt, so I'm gonna accessory 12 volt. If I check it, I got 12 volt, ignition off, nothing, and this is the starter. I got 12 volt, all right. The only thing is I want to have the 12 volt for start ignition, which is the blue one. So this one should see 12 volt accessory, which is should be on right now. Yes, should also see 12 volt when I do start. If I can confirm that. And yes, so I see 12 volt in both situations. So we hooked up, we just need to wire. Okay, I think I got it all figured out. The brown here on this standard harness and the orange here are for, the orange is ignition accessories. This one is ignition. The black one there is power. That's the 30 amp power. The big orange there is like 40 amp power. The purple right here is for the starter, and then the little pink one in the back here, it's the ignition start on, which is labeled as coil, but I figure this need to see power, ignition power and start power, which is the case. So this is going to be all the ignition switch, figure it out. So I just had like little tabs like connected into this harness there, but it's just for texting and wiring like most of the wires. Like when I get everything wired out, then I'm gonna do all like solder connections. All right, I figured out my harness again. So for future references, all right, there's only a few wires to plug in, but quite essential wires that needs to be figured out the proper way. But so those three are constant 12 coming out right out of the harness, because I have my harness plugged on constant 12. I have one long white wire and one long black wire, and those two are connected to 12-volt ignition. And I have one short white wire, which is right here, and I have a blue, yellow and brown, and a tan, well, more like yellow and tan wire that needs to see ground as well. And I'm just using signal. I have like 3 signal 12-volt that comes from my relay box that I installed, and I use those to feed my 12 volts, my 12-volt ignition. All right, in the front, I have the I/O cables. These, the black and yellow, are connected to 12-volt ignition. The orange is connected to 12-volt brake signal, and the brown is connected to 12-volt ignition, but goes through LED lights. So that means when I have ignition, I have my LED lights coming on, and then when I start, all right. So I got all my ignition figured out. So, and all the wires in the front figured out. So I'm gonna hook my harness properly. I'm gonna just figure out all those wires and clean that up. I'm gonna clean up the ignition, hooked it up properly, and then the steering is a little tricky to install, the steering wheel. So I'm gonna try to install the my dash with the steering wheel installed. I think it's possible. I'm gonna install the vent first, and then I'll install the steering wheel, and then from there I'm gonna start wiring everything else. But Jeep is running again.